before we
I'll
go
post it.
live?
I'll post it.
Okay.
Yo, what is going on? What is going on? It is your guy David from Top Bunk Sports, and I'm here with my guy AP. What's going on, baby?
What's going on? What's going on? The break could not have come at a better time. I needed a mental break from a lot of frustrating offensive performances that we've had. But we won the series in Kansas City, so we ended it with a decent note. A little bit of a up and down game the last one, but love that we got some reinforcements back. And I think the key takeaway that you took from that last game is Manaya is here, and we got one of our better starting pitchers back. So glad to see that we're getting healthy, and knock on wood, everybody's gonna be here for the stretch run.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into all the things about the first half of the season, we just want to give a special shout out to Chris and Amish who couldn't join us today, but we'll be back on our next episode that we'll have. But obviously, I'm here with my guy AP, so the show must go on. AP, obviously, this is more going to be like a conversation more than anything. What was your opinion on the offense in terms of how they started the first half and then how they ended? I mean, obviously it started a little shaky, and then obviously they had their moments in middle to the end of May, and then June was one of those frustrating months. And then July got a little bit better, but the offense was still shaky at times. Give me your opinion on what you thought on the offensive side for the first half of the season. Your mic.
I'm always
falling
gonna be
asleep.
philosophical, and then the no. To me, the offense was the most inconsistent and maddening of this Mets team. Honestly, if we were grading the offense, I would have to give it a C. It just didn't live up to expectations. Like, you thought going into the season that this was going to be what carried this team, and that we were going to need offense based off our starters, and it was the complete opposite. The offense had the top four that got hot at certain times. They weren't really hot all together at the same time. You had Alonso and Lindor at the beginning, where Soto was still trying to figure it out. Nimmo's been coming on the last couple of weeks, and then Soto just had an absurd June. Like, he had a June that some people wish that they could have like a major league career, and this dude did it in a month. But Vientos regressed to the point where we were waiting for him to come out. It looks like he's finally getting out of his rut the last couple of games. So that we want to see for the stretch run. Alvarez regressed so much that they sent him to AAA. I'm assuming he's going to come back. He's killing in AAA in terms of home runs. Still strikes out. The strikeouts are a little bit high and concerning, but he's hitting down there. McNeil's been kind of lukewarm. He won us some games with his bat, and he's been playing. Who knew that he could play a side of left center field? So Torrens has been. He had that great April, and then he fell off. You have Acuna, who hasn't done anything. You've had Tyrone, who plays an amazing center field, but just doesn't hit. If he could hit a little bit, he'd be an everyday player. But his glove keeps him as somebody that you should have playing, especially with no other real option. So we've had too many holes in this lineup. Third base has been a hole. Second base has been a hole for the majority of the year. DH has been non-existent. Marte's starting to get hot, get hurt. Winker didn't play. So from 5 to 9, we really had way too much inconsistencies, too many sure outs, and the Mets haven't been able to really garner much of an offense. So if you're asking me how I feel about this offense, I'm really disappointed in it. I thought that they would do more. I know this was long winded, and I've been like, it feels like I've been talking about this offense for an hour, but it's been, I think, what we've all been bitching and complaining about the whole year. The whole year has been, yo, why can't they score? What is up with this offense? People have been calling for Chavez's head. Like something's broken. The approach is off whack. They load the bases, can't score. Man on third, no outs or one out, can't score. So they need to fix a lot of it. And hopefully during this break, they could kind of come up with a game plan as to what they're going to do. Now, I want to pose this to you since you brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
Since they took Lindor out of the leadoff spot and Nimmo has been inserted or Marte, the lineup has kind of played a little bit better. Would you keep it for the stretch run?
Yes, I would. You have a situation where Brandon Nimmo is kind of getting into a little bit of his stride in terms of longer at bats, working the count right away, being able to provide more for not only Lindor but for Soto. Soto's been a much better hitter in the third hole than he was in a two spot as he was in the two spot. And then obviously Lindor's swinging the bat better. So as of right now, I think you're 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to a certain extent because Pete's been kind of like he's been up and down. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they dropped him in the lineup. When he was in the 3-hole, excuse me, when he was in the 3-hole, he started off hot, and we all remember how that start was. Now he's kind of been a little bit cold. So although you have to, one man's success is another man's loss. And that's, Brandon Nimmo's success in terms of being a leadoff hitter right now, but also Pete Alonso moving down to the 4-hole because of Soto and really, taking a negative right now. I would keep that because your starters in terms of your momentum starters are Nimmo, Lindor, and Soto. Whatever comes after that within your 4, 5, and 6, which is the meat of your lineup. It depends. It depends how that works out. But I wouldn't change a thing in terms of that. In terms of, I would say, let's see. Out of everybody in that lineup, who? But by the way, before I get to that question, obviously we just gotta look at the comments real quick. We got Chris, who, like I said, couldn't join us on the stream, but he said, "Yeah, shout out my guys. Sorry, couldn't make it. Husband duties. Listen. I'm the only one in this group that's not married, that don't got a girl. So I don't know what it feels like, man. So I can't judge. I can't say nothing. He says that's how the offense been lately. Silent. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Chris says AP got to keep that beard, man. Yo, listen, I don't know, man. Ever since he got the beard, shit's been looking 50-50 right now. So I don't know if he should keep it or if he should just cut it off. I don't know. That's because the offense hasn't been on its hot shit when he had the beard either. So you know what I'm saying. So
we've been winning some series. I don't know. It may stay, Chris. It may stay.
It may stay. It may stay. But then, hey, Chris, it also depends on wifey. If wifey likes him with the beard. Because then if wifey says, "Yo, cut the beard," and he has to cut the beard.
Oh my god!
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. You might have to. Yeah. Chris, Amish said Amish reposted this stream. Chris said, "Nah, he needs to keep it." Like I said, I'm sure he will. But then if wifey says no,
if the Mets start killing it, I think that this is gonna go into a full on like. I'm gonna look like Marsh from Philadelphia, just like melting like a weird caveman.
Yo, son,
whatever works.
You imagine if you grow your hair out, bro?
Nah, I'm not doing. I'm not. I mean, I've done the fro. I can't do that. I look at that man and I'm like, yo, I don't know how anybody even wants to be near you. It looks like he smells. I can't. But enough about Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna ask. I was gonna ask what type of shampoo you think he uses for that hair.
Nothing. That looks like he's straight wilderness.
Nah, yeah.
I feel like some birds or something on there.
Amish says I wasn't about to argue with my wife. I feel you. He said, "Good stream, fellas. Appreciate you, my guy. We miss you."
Yeah.
And then Chris is out here just, Chris is trying to distract himself from doing whatever he's doing
I'm
today,
doing
man.
it.
I feel it. I feel it. He's
I
just
mean,
trying
I'm
to.
glad that Amish and Chris are the only ones watching us. This is fun. Like
Well, shout out to the 26 that's in here. We got 26 people.
Yo, if we could tell
26
those
people in
26 to tell their friends, maybe we could have a whole party.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, the offense has been whack. The one thing that I will say is that I've been pleasantly surprised with, and I think everybody could agree with, is the pitching. The pitching has been, I mean, until recently, the pitching has been holding us down. Like thank you to the contributions of Canning. Canning gave his Achilles for this team, so thank you, Canning, for your services. We lost 1 billion people to Tommy John surgery lately. Kranick looks like he's gonna go under the knife. Nunez, we heard, is going under the knife. Before the year even started, Drew Smith messing with those hoes went under the knife. There's Tommy John surgery has been taking. Oh, we lost Minter. We lost a lot of pitching and a lot of depth, and it's crazy because it's like if you thought at least coming into the year, like, well, at least the Mets are gonna have the opportunity to not have to bring up AAA pitchers, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden we're throwing bullpen games with Waddell and Hagenman or something like that. Like it's just I don't even understand that. I mean, I know that the argument's been why haven't we reached down to AAA and taken maybe some of the top pitchers, and we've gone back and forth with that and really talked about how maybe they want to trade some of these pieces and they don't want them to get exposed to people even suggesting like they didn't want the pitchers to lose confidence. There's a lot of reasons as to why. I still think that the Mets should have brought somebody up. I didn't want to go with an opener. I didn't want to go with some guy that has like an 18 ERA. Zach Pop in the middle of a Subway series. I'm like, yo, are you serious, man? And then
he got popped.
Yeah, he got popped right away. And then the DFA game is crazy. The one guy that I was like, we shouldn't DFA, the Yankees picked him up. I was like, great. So the Yankees picked up the one guy that did his job. Everybody else, DFAs, come back. Lovelady, I don't know how he's on this team. I don't know. I don't got no love for him. Like I don't know why he's here. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, Rayleigh comes back because we desperately need a reliable lefty in the pen. I don't know, man. Stearns is gonna have to work some magic.
So let me ask you a question then. If you're looking at this pitching rotation right now, with everything that's happening, obviously Shamanaya came back, and when he came back on Sunday and he pitched that bullpen game, he looked great.
Singer tightrope, the tightrope games that Singer
has. Singer tightrope, but also a game where he found himself in a couple of jams, but he got out of them and he looked good to me.
He does, but I think that Singer's issue is what the Mets can't really afford right now. The 5 inning starts. We can't. Every pitcher that we have goes 5 innings, and then you have to pray that it either rains or that somebody in that bullpen could get to Diaz, because it's just, I don't know. It's a lot to ask every game your bullpen to throw 4 innings. So I don't know how we're gonna do it. Shout out to Peterson, the all-star that he is. He's been the only one that's been able to get the Mets into the 7th inning. And we lose those starts. We lose games. And that's, you know what? We'll get into the coaching. But as far as the pitching's gone, Diaz has been amazing. He's an all-star. Peterson has been amazing. He's an all-star. I feel Singer should have been an all-star. I think the injury derailed that. But the dude has an ERA less than 3. He's doing his thing. I really do think that Singer was deserving of the honor over the likes of Milwaukee's 5-star all-star all of a sudden. I mean, whatever. But I think Singer was on his way until Pete destroyed his leg. But I do think that that the starting pitching, Holmes has been fairly consistent. He gets to the fifth inning, then he starts wavering, but he keeps you in the game. Like I said, Canning was having a career year, got hurt, but he did his thing. McGill stay on vacation. We really don't want to see you, but everybody for the most part, in terms of starting, has done good. Um,
Right.
we had Brazaban and Reed, who were having career years at the beginning of the year, and then they've fallen off because of overuse. I mean, there's only so much you could do. Kranick was having a fairly decent beginning, then he fell off, and he's getting Tommy John. Nunez, I had such high hopes for, but he's hurt and he's gone. Diaz, all star. Diaz is
That's
having
it.
a magnificent season. I can't say enough about Diaz. Like, I'm very happy with what I've seen. He hasn't given up a run since I think April. So he's been the one person that we could count on for certain when he comes in that we almost got it in the bag. So, I really want Stearns to, like I said, to work those phones and get us an eighth inning guy. We need an eighth inning guy desperately because once we lost Minter, that bullpen you saw became super suspect. I think
Right.
Minter was what held everything together because throwing Minter in the eighth allowed you to do a lot of different things with the seventh and sixth and I think that and sometimes we even had Budo go in for 2 innings whatever, but I don't know. We need an eighth inning guy desperately that we can rely on. There's a bunch of people out there. I'm sure that you want to get into some of that later, but that's where I'm at with it. I think the pitching, if I had to grade it, and I'm not even trying to be a homer. They hit a huge bump. That's the only reason it's not flawless because they really did hit a huge bump in that during that late June phase of everything. But if you are asking me to grade them, I would say that they are a B plus. I think they were a B plus because they're not going deep in games, but they're keeping the Mets in it, and they have been the reason why we are just a half game out of first place.
I would agree on the B plus. I think the offense to me, I'll be honest with you, the offense to me overall is a C minus. Uh, just because I think again you got to understand the expectations that were put on the offense and for them not to produce as well as we thought they would. And again, it's the first half. Only grading it on the first half of the season so far, they've been mediocre. They've been up and down. Um, and you gotta. We always talk about accountability. We always talk about holding this entire team, from management to the players, even to the guys in the front office. Everybody's held accountable because that there's certain jobs, no matter what it is, no matter how hard it is, at the end of the day you're there to do a job. If you're not completing it at a consistent basis, or you're not making the right moves to shift this team into where it needs to be, and what the direction is, you're going to be held accountable. So to me, like I said, I think the pitching, I agree with you. I think it's a B. I think the offense, like I said, C minus. I'm not gonna fully say a D because they had spurts where the offense was there, and we are very confident about the offense at times. So I'm not gonna say a D, but I do think a C minus is where I can put the offense right now. In terms of what you were asking me, I would say maybe like trades for like for example, like a setup man. I've said this all week, and I've said it in the group chats that we were in. I've said if you call the Baltimore Orioles and you find out what they want in terms of a setup man, um, I'd find out what they want for maybe for about what's his name? I think his name is Felix Bautista, um, a Gregory Soto, a Cano. See what see what Baltimore wants for any of those three guys. Now I know Batista is the Orioles closer, but if you put nobody's taking Edwin Diaz out that closing role. But if you put Batista in as a setup man, as your eighth inning setup man or whatever, that's a live arm. That's a shutdown eighth inning for the most part. You're saying the same thing about Gregory Soto. The best part about it is that he's a lefty. So you're talking about adding a lefty arm that you desperately need because we don't have that much lefty arms in your bullpen. And
But
then
stop before we even get into like the trade stuff, because we could talk about every team's thing. One last piece of our team for the first half:
right.
coaching. I got
I
to
like
tell you,
this combo. I like this
I got
combo.
to
Yeah.
tell you, I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Mendoza. I really do appreciate Mendoza. I think
Right.
that he has the pulse of the team.
Right.
I loved what he did last year. He didn't even look like a rookie like manager last year. This year, though, I
Right.
got to tell you, it's been it's hard. It's hard for me to be too hard on him because I do understand he's kind of got one hand tied behind his back because every time he goes to the pen, you see the results. So it's kind of hard to be like, yo, but I do feel that some of the decisions late in games have been super suspect. Um, I think that he relies too much on guys that have shown that maybe they're going through like a rough stretch that he should not be relying to. And by that I refer to I feel like he's gone too much to Stanek at times in really tight spots and it's blown up in the Mets' face. We saw that in Baltimore. We saw that early in the year. We've seen it a bunch of times and it just I don't know. I know that he wants Stanek to be the eighth inning guy, but I don't know if Stanek is the eighth inning guy. And I think that he needs to maybe demote him for the time being, at least until he gets going, because he hasn't really shown that he's been consistent. His ERA is in the fours. Peterson was throwing a 1-0 game.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in a guy with a 4 to a bandbox in Baltimore, and then you lose the game promptly, which was the beginning of a doubleheader that ended up causing us to be swept. I just
Right.
feel like in that situation, I would have loved to have pushed Peterson personally, but look, that's either here or there. He's the one that gets paid to make the decisions, but I do think that some of the decisions have been poor. We just talked about how Chavez, people have been calling for his job. Alvarez apparently went down there and found his home run swing. Um, could that be because too much information overload? None of the hitters, the rookie hitters, have shown any progression. I think that speaks volumes on Chavez's tutelage, and it's not good. So the one saving grace right now to me on the coaching staff has been Jeremy Hefner. So if you're grading them all because of like I am severely disappointed in the hitting and that the rookies have not been, consistent at all this year. I got to say that the coaching to me is a C plus. I'll give you a C plus because the pitching has been overachieving for the most part. So C plus.
I agree. Um, I think Mendoza's had his mistakes that he could have avoided, regardless of who's on the team or not. I think if I'm not mistaken, shout out to Chris who's watching. Obviously, I agree with him when he said Mendoza has cost us at least 15 games. He has. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't want to hear, well, it's the certain guys that he has. It's certain guys he can't control. He needs to deal with what's given to him. I understand that, but in a game situation where you have better options, he's had maybe about 10 or 15 games where he's could have avoided losing certain games because of those decision makings that he's had. Other factors have also played on the fact that he has no other choice. For example, losing a bullpen game. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way you can avoid that. The Yankee game in the second half of the Subway Series in Game 3, maybe for not putting Pop in there and giving Chris Davinsky another inning because he went 1, 2, 3 in the first 3 innings. But other than that, like there's you can hold them accountable more than you have in the past. In his second year. Um, but in terms of the hitting coach, I mean, you've heard me be very vocal about how I don't trust Jeremy Barnes. I don't trust Eric Chavez, specifically Eric Chavez, because it seems like these guys are going to him more than they are to Jeremy Barnes. You don't really hear about Jeremy Barnes as much as you do with Eric Chavez this season. Um, you bring up the Alvi point. I brought up on the last episode. You find it funny how he goes down to AAA and his swing is back to his old swing. His stance, he's back to his old stance. To me, it seems like what they were telling Francisco Alvarez was be more of a contact hitter and less of just a power hitter. They're trying to make him an overall just offensive guy and just sticking to his power. His power is what got him here. Now, yes, his defense has also played a part in it, but his defense has been up and down as well. As much as we want to give his defense credit, his defense has been up and down. It's his power that everybody knows him for. So when you get him away from that, and then you make him and you switch things within his stance and his at bat overall, you're messing up this kid's confidence. So you have that, and then again, like I said, I'll to the day that I die, somebody could prove me wrong. SNY loves to show cameras in the dugout. And it's not just the Mets themselves. It's everybody in the MLB. These guys have access to have conversations with these hitting coaches. You see Francisco Lindor a couple weeks ago standing with Eric Chavez having a conversation with him. What the conversation was, we don't know, but he's talking to him. These guys have access to these hitting coaches. These hitting coaches have access to these players. They also have iPads. So there are many ways that they can definitely try to fix the up and downs of his offense. And to me, it just seems like there's something within the message that's there that's not working. And I got to put that, as much as we put that on the players, because yes, it's their job every day to go out there on the field and make contact with the baseball. If you're a hitting coach and you're not doing something to make these changes, what are you really there for? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, why is it that when they put cameras in the dugout after a guy strikes out and he's immediately going to the iPad, I only see him by himself. If you see that a guy is struggling, I should see you sitting with the player, looking at the iPad and seeing what's wrong. Hey, maybe you could fix this. Yo, maybe on the next pitch when he throws you a curveball, don't be so late because he's throwing you more curveballs inside. He's throwing you this pitch more. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you don't have to have a mic on him, but it would be nice to see that he's having conversations multiple times than just one time or so, and then just standing next to Mendoza and Jeremy Barnes as if he's not doing anything. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I have insights and I know what's going on. I don't. But again, we can only see what is being shown to us. And then at some point, it's like, if you're a hitting coach and the philosophy is not being changed and everything keeps happening, first pitch swinging, guys are swinging too much outside of the strike zone, what's the philosophy in there that's making it worse? So, yeah, I like I said, I agree with you. I think a C+ is in the right just because of Jeremy Barnes and what he's been able to do. But I can't give a positive grade on this hitting coach just because, again, I've seen too much mistakes that shouldn't be happening at this point of the season, especially when you've been here for multiple years and the same thing every season keeps happening. So yeah. But I want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
In terms of, going back to, now that we got that out the way, in terms of a trade, in terms of certain moves that you think, if you were in David Stern's position, what do you think they should be attacking more? And what would be a specific trade that you would like? You just have to give me one.
The crazy thing is, I didn't think that we needed a bat going in, but now I really feel like we do. I think if we could have, there's maybe like 2 or 3 teams right now, honestly, in the major leagues that I feel like we could really like partner up with and really like match up very well. I think that Arizona's one. I think Cleveland's another. Baltimore, to a certain extent, I would have wanted Boston, but I think Boston is legitimately entrenched in a playoff race, which I didn't think was going to happen initially, but now I see it. Right now, if we're going to keep it 100, it really depends on what we see from Vientos
Right.
going forward. Like if we get out of this break and he's that 2024 Vientos, then I don't know if we need to trade specifically for, let's say, a third baseman, because the team that I was really looking at was Arizona, because I really
Hmm.
feel like you could go to Arizona, you could get you Suarez, and then you could try to pick up a starting pitcher from them. Um, Obviously, you have Merrill Kelly. You have who's having a decent year. Then you have a Zach Gallen who hasn't really been having the year that he's accustomed to. But the hope would be a change of scenery, can maybe jolt him into pitching like he's normally accustomed to. Another place you could look at is Cleveland. I know Class A hasn't been his usually dominating self, but that is a dude that intrigues me for the bullpen because I really would love to have one of those relievers that you can kind of like, if Diaz pitched the night before and he threw a lot, you could like just put in a Class A and you're not really missing a beat. So I would look at Cleveland and look at them. I even some suggested Minnesota. Minnesota, the idea of Buxton, um, dude gets hurt too much, man. I can't believe in him being healthy.
Right.
Now, would I love to have him playing center field every day? Yeah, but I just think that he's hurt all the time. So I don't know how much faith I would have in him being available. And I think the
Right.
best asset that you could have is availability. And he just gets hurt way too much. But what intrigued me about Minnesota was, what if we got some pitching from them? And then I started looking at like the numbers. That's why you see me looking down. But like
Right. Right.
man, if we could get, if we first of all, I don't think, like, I'm not crazy. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if there's any way that you could get yourself a Duran from Minnesota, I mean, you gotta do it. I mean, dude has been crazy. I would love to be able to figure that out if we can make that happen. So Duran would be somebody I would definitely. I mean, even to the lesser extent, like if we're not gonna go the route of, if let's say Vientos is doing this thing, but we want to have a backup center fielder, I think
Right.
that to not overexpose McNeil, you could bring back a Bader. He's not a sexy option, but I think that he could be somebody that could bring you defense. He has a little bit of pop, so he could run into one. It's almost the same thing as having Tyrone, but I think it's just maybe. I mean, I'm not a big Bader fan, but I think that it's just another option to have out there. Honestly, Siri should be coming back eventually. I'm assuming so. Maybe it's just to get you there. Baltimore with Mullins, but Mullins to me is, I'm not giving up a lot for Mullins. Like if Baltimore's gonna be crazy about it, I don't really do it. I don't think he's not having a great year right now. He does bring a dynamic that we don't have a lot of, which is speed. So he can steal your base. He plays good defense, but he's not really hitting for much. And he's in a park where you would think that you'd get some hits, and he's not really doing that. But I
Right.
would be intrigued with a bigger trade with Baltimore if you could get some relievers back, and do something with Baltimore where maybe you can get a Mullins and a reliever, and then piece it up that way. Look, I would not be mad if the Mets, because I'm telling you right now, I don't have any faith in Stearns making a ginormous trade. I really don't. I'm not sitting here thinking, we're getting Nolan Ryan at the trade deadline. I really think it's gonna be some reliable people, and it's gonna be some, maybe the pitching lab is gonna fix some type shit. But my hope, and I hope that Stearns is really, really taking it as serious as I'm taking it. There's a couple of things that I see in the horizon. One, the lockout. You don't know about
No CBA.
the CBA situation.
Mm-hmm.
If it becomes a thing where you have a cap, then Cohen's money means nothing. So you've got to take advantage of the ability that right now presents. You're in the playoff hunt. Money is still being spent like crazy. Why not go all the way in? I think that the Dodgers are sort of susceptible. I mean, I know they go through these things during the season, but I think that right now, if you look at the landscape, does the American League put fear in your heart right now? I think it's the answer to me is no. There's nobody in the American League. I think if anybody in the National League gets there, it's their title to win. Can you lose in a series? Can momentum be different? Sure. But right now, looking at it, the National League championship to me looks like that's going to be the winner of the World Series. So what do the Mets do to get to the World Series? You got to make sure your offense is straight. You got to make sure that your pitching is straight. I feel like I was going down a lot of scenarios, but I really do think you get yourself at least with Rayleigh coming back, that's a pickup. So if Rayleigh comes back,
pick up at that, yeah.
if Rayleigh comes back, that's a pickup. That means Love Lady see ya. And then you got to get yourself an eighth inning guy at least. If you're not going to do anything else, I would love to get another reliable lefty, but if you can't do that, get yourself an eighth inning guy. Starter, I heard Mitch Keller. I'm not impressed by him, but then I look at what we currently have with the pitching at the end of everything, and I'm like, if you got to, fine, because he's an innings eater, and we do need guys that go deeper into games. So if he keeps us in the games or whatever, then whatever. I'm all for it. Anything that helps. But I think the big wild card, and I'll shut up. The big wild card is what is Vientos? Is he 2024? If not, then you got to go out there and get yourself another hitter.
Yeah, nah, absolutely. I mean, I don't also think. Well, I mean, he is the main thing of that whole situation. But I also think it matters what Brett Beatty and Ronnie Mauricio bring to the table if they're going to be playing every day. What their impact to this team is, because you got to understand these are your kids that you have finally brought up here. What source of momentum are they going to give you that you're either going to keep them or you're going to look for a bigger trade that involves them? And like, yo, if we got to win now, I got to go out there and put them in a trade to go get Jose Ramirez. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? And that's not even me to say, yo, that it could be possible. Obviously, there has not been a rumor in particularly with the Mets that they're interested, but we all know what Jose Ramirez brings to the table in terms of defense at third base. He fixes that situation. We don't have to keep, the situation with them playing one guy one day and then moving another guy to third base and then playing, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have our solid third baseman, a switch hitter, a guy that hits for power, a guy that makes great contact. So it's like maybe that's a situation where, Ronnie could be playing the best ball of his life, and so can Vientos, and maybe Beatty could play some solid ball to the point where all three of them are in a good role, and they're like, yo, while we have him here, let's go and see if we could maybe use him in a trade to go get a superstar like Jose Ramirez. And if not, maybe they still believe that these kids can be another star and get this team to where they want to get to. Maybe they keep them. But like you said, it all matters not only on Vientos, but I also think it matters on Ronnie and Beatty as well. Before we get to obviously to the next topic, my guy, the Pope, has joined the show. He said, "What up, fellas?" He said, "My bad, I couldn't join. I just got your text. Hey, man, whoever wants to join, man, you guys are more than welcome to. Let us know, and we will put the link up for you guys to come through and hit the show up." He says, O'Neal Cruz with a 513-foot blast. Yeah, I'm actually watching it on my phone as we go.
Yeah, 21 home runs, 21.
I have either him or Junior Caminero winning the entire thing, and so far I'm looking good.
Yeah.
I am looking good. So, so I'm gonna roll with that one. Speaking of Byron Buxton, he's actually up right now.
Yeah,
And
he took his time out, I saw.
yeah, so it's an early one. So we'll
Yeah.
see how that finishes out. But no, man, just one more thing. Obviously, I don't want to make it too long. Shout out to the 100 that is in here. We got 100 people in here. AP,
Well,
we got a lot of support. A lot of
yeah,
support today.
thank you.
Um,
Queens is in the building.
Yep, Queens is in the building. Speaking of Queens is in the building, I just realized that I don't live too far away from Queensbridge, and as I'm coming on the bus passing Queensbridge, some dude noticed a Nas shirt that I had on. I was actually on the F train, got off of Queensbridge to take the bus, and I had a Nas shirt. And he was like, "Yo, you from here?" And I was like, "I'm from Queens, but I ain't from Queensbridge." He was like, "You repping my son?" I was like, "Yo, come on, man, that's the legend. That is the legend."
I
So
mean,
it's funny that you bring that up because I was
yeah.
like, it's funny. It's a whole story. I was had his shirt on, but I was blasting the Clips album on my way home. I
Yo,
was, bro,
that Clips out, and that Nas verse on the Clips album. We could talk about
no,
that, but
we could talk
this
about
ain't
that. But
a hip
listen,
hop, I guess,
yeah, we could.
podcast. But yo,
If y'all,
check that Clips
yeah,
shit out, man. Hip
yeah,
hop is
please,
back.
man. Hip hop is back, man. Shout out to Pusha T. Shout out to Malice, man. The brothers are back, trying to restore the game to what it used to be. But last thing that I wanted to bring to you, before obviously we wrap it up, we got 4 All-Stars this year, man. And before you give your opinion on that, I just want to say how proud I am as a Met to see our 4 guys up there repping the organization, repping the city. Um, I'm very very happy. It's like a mixed emotion because I'm very very happy that Pete's in there again. Very very happy that finally Francisco Lindor's name was they gave respect and they put respect on his name, and they finally made him an All Star as a New York Met. His first time being an All Star under the New York Mets. Um, Edwin Diaz, obviously much deserved, killing it, best closer in the game right now. And then David Peterson. David Peterson for the 2 years of hard work that he has shown, and for all the adversity that he's overcome as a starting pitcher. He is an all star, and yes, it wasn't all the way. Obviously, it was a replacement, but he's truly, truly deserved of the opportunity. I just want to say I'm super blessed and proud for those guys to be representing us in the All Star game. I
Yeah.
understand people have their opinions about Juan Soto. I gave my opinion on that on the last episode. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check our last episode out. I gave my frustrations. I pulled out the facts. I pulled out all the numbers to show why Juan Soto deserved to be an All Star this year. But
You should have
this is
been.
what happens. This is what happens when you let shit like that run to the fans and not let it run to the actual people that go by stats. Because like I said before, that first half means something to these players, and maybe players look at it from a standpoint of oh look, I got a mini vacation out of this, but this All Star thing also is a way to give player their how do you say it, their I would say like their it's like a trophy type way to represent the hard work that they put in the first half of the season for the organization and for the city. Um, it's you're being celebrated for it. All the hard work that you put in, you deserve that. You know what I'm saying? So for that, that's a big accomplishment, no matter how you look at it. So for certain guys to not get in there, even though they deserve it, it's like you're taking something away, and it's like, yo, did I do something wrong? AP, I don't know how you feel about that. How do you feel about
Well, Soto
our
should have
guys
definitely
making
have gone. Soto should have gone. But I also understand the point where he didn't have like the same Soto start that we're accustomed to. He really
right?
came on like insane in June. But this is where baseball loses me because in one regard you're gonna say, well, Soto didn't have the greatest start, but yeah, he has the numbers to qualify, but he didn't. But then you turn around and let a rookie get in. It doesn't really add up at all. Like I don't really understand that. So whatever. At the end of the day, I want Soto to take this shit and be like, okay, you guys don't think I'm an all star. I'm gonna show you and just take it out on the people this is it would have been dope to have a bunch of Mets there. We have four. It would have been amazing to have five. But you know what? Take it out on the rest of the league. Um, one thing I wanted to add to this was I was looking at the stats for the rest of the year, and it said I believe the Mets have the 12th hardest schedule going in for the rest of the year. Right behind us at 14, I thought was Philadelphia. I would really want the Mets at this point to stop playing to the down to the competition. It's
Right.
it's go time from the minute that first game comes around. I
Right.
really need the Mets to uh, to not give away games. We can't afford bullpen games no more. That's done. The Mets have got to get their big boy pants on and really go out there and win this division. I'm hoping that they can somehow overcome everything and get the number one seed. I would love to like keep everything in Queens if we can, but the Dodgers have, I think, one of the easier schedules in all of baseball going into the second half. So it's gonna be difficult. I really wanted the Mets to put some distance, but we gave up some games that we should have not have. So well, but that's why they say you play the games, you never know what's gonna happen. And baseball, that's baseball, Susan, right? So we'll see what happens with the second half. But as soon as the bell rings on Friday, I want it to be go time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, a lot of like I talked about it before. Accountability is gonna be taken a lot. Um, what you're gonna get from a second half Brendan Nimmo, what you're gonna get from a second half Francisco Lindor, what you're gonna get from a second half Juan Soto, especially what you're gonna get from a second half Pete Alonso, and what you're gonna get from a second half Mark Vientos and a second half Ronnie and a second half Brett Beatty. Is going to play a factor into this team going in and taking the division. Right now, they're a half a game behind the Phillies for first place. So you're right there. As soon as the season starts on Friday, you're right there. You're right there, and you need to go ahead and you need to start your second half on a big note. And what better way to do it than starting your second half at home? Take care of home field, do what you need to do, and really just get off to a hot start because, like I said, the Phillies at any moment, based on how we're playing, the Phillies could have been playing much better in June and could have ran away with a big lead in that in first place, and they didn't. They didn't. They were playing so baseball as well, and they gave us an opportunity. And at the end of the day, like I said before, when you have possibly the three best hitters in baseball right now in Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and Pete Alonso, you're due to you're owed the baseball world a nice story in terms of just doing damage offensively in the second half. And like I said, this team is not, they're not a team that's never done it. Like they could definitely do it. They can definitely put an offensive barrage through the second half to where we could run with first place. And I could kind of see, the situation unfolding like how it did in 2015, where we were maybe a game, 2 games behind Washington, and all of a sudden, after the trade deadline, the Mets just went on an offensive barrage and took over first place, and Washington never recovered. I could see that happening, but can this offense turn it around? Can these hitting coaches fix the philosophy of what not to do from the first half? Can they compare and contrast? Can they get a Francisco Alvarez back up here with the way he's hitting, keep the philosophy that he has right now, and maybe he adds power to this lineup, and now his confidence is back? Can they do that? Can a second
Maybe
half Mark
some hit
Vientos
and
be
run,
back?
man. Some hit and run, some bunting, getting guys over, that type of stuff when we're not scoring.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we go, we got my guy Anthony from Subway to Shay in the building. He says, "Shout out to you, fellas. Please give Seven Express a like and subscribe. Appreciate you, man." He says, "I owe you guys an appearance. You know what to do, Brody. We always appreciate you, man. Appreciate the love and the time given, bro. Whenever you want to hop on, you let us know, and we make it happen." But with that being
Yeah,
said,
man.
man,
We working on that trade deadline special we were talking about.
Yes,
And we'll talk.
yes.
We'll be back to talk before that too. But yo, Top, thank you for
My
always
guy.
holding down the podcast for us
Fort.
and getting us on there. To
Fort, man,
my
of course.
folks, Amish and Chris, yo, thank you for tuning in. Even if you guys couldn't be on, we appreciate you, and we can't wait till Voltron is back so we could have that combo and just like keep the laughs up. And to everybody that's
Absolutely.
watching us, man, like thank you for seeing us talk about the team that obviously we all have a rooting interest in. Second half of the season, let's go Mets. Let's win the whole thing. Let next year be this year. Just bringing a lot of positive vibes. I don't want to crash out. No more crash outs, please. Don't give me any reason to lose my mind. Like I the stress is enough with the 2 kids and work. Please, just let's play smart, winning baseball. Can we do that, please?
Play it right, man. Let's play it right. But I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for hopping on. Appreciate the 124 that is watching. Appreciate the time, man. And we will catch you guys on the next live and video. Peace out.
This is SNY's Gary Cohen, and this train ride is over. This is the last stop on the train. Please exit onto the platform. Thank you for riding with us.